Albert Vartain with my co-host James Sharman here. We're going to transition to baseball now. So that was Aaron Judge after being asked about why he was glancing over at the dugout or the first base coach during an at-bat against Jay Jackson, where he went yard. I think his longest home run of the season so far. Let's bring in our buddy Frank Stampfl of CBS. Frank, you got the Judge shirt on, you got the Yankees hat on. He's being accused of cheating by some people and others not so much. Where are you at with this?
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely a weird situation. It's not something that you see every day in baseball. I thought it made sense for the Blue Jays broadcast to acknowledge it. Don't love the fact that at the time, they're making assumptions based on one of the best players in baseball. Just want to put everything in perspective here, right? At this point in the game, the Yankees are up 6-0 at the time. Mm-hmm. And if you think that there's foul play involved, why then, right? Like, why at that point in the game, especially against this pitcher, with all due respect to Jay Jackson, a career 4.15 ERA. He allows a lot of hard contact, 10 homers allowed in 60 2/3 innings pitched in his career. Why would Aaron Judge need to cheat, if that's what people are accusing him of, against this pitcher? Also, if this is something that the Blue Jays really suspect, why weren't other Yankees hitters also looking into the dugout throughout the game, right? So I have some problems with it. I've watched Judge's entire career. He's the definition of a stand-up guy. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm a fan. I've watched him, again, his entire career. That kind of explanation that he gave, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I think that he's earned that. But, we were talking beforehand, the Yankees have been wrapped up in some sketchy situations in the past. So I guess you can't put it past them, but someone of Aaron Judge's caliber, we haven't really seen him ever do this in the past. He's coming off, one of the best seasons that, we've ever seen. It just doesn't really make sense in that moment. Why would he need to do that against that pitcher?
Yeah, no, I hear you. And then Judge in his last 7, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, he's batting .320. I mean, this is just an elite batter. And if he can look over just before a pitch comes into him and knock one out of the park the way that he did, tells you how elite of an athlete, of a baseball player this guy is. With that said, when it comes to Aaron Judge and being in that situation, I mean, I just if the dugout has spotted something with Jay Jackson or any of the Jays pitchers and they're letting him know, that's not necessarily illegal, right? Signal stealing?
No, that's not illegal. If they notice something that a pitcher is doing, if he's tipping his pitches and they're letting Aaron Judge know about it, again, legally, we don't know. Hopefully they don't have like any kind of nefarious things going on within the dugout, because again, we've seen that throughout baseball at times. But if they notice something and they're kind of relaying it to him in real time, then yes, that is allowed in baseball. Again, I would say it's pretty hard to do, like multitasking, looking over and trying to pick something up that people are telling you in the midst of an at-bat while a pitch is coming. It certainly didn't help that within that same at-bat, he hit a 462-foot home run. But yeah, that is something that's allowed. It's just, again, we don't know if that's exactly what was happening, based on Aaron Judge's, the way that he broke down the situation. Look, I think he's taking this captain title really seriously, and he is someone that does hold other players accountable. So if he has an issue with them yelling at the umpire and the fact that Aaron Boone is already thrown out at that point, then I tend to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I understand why people look at it and they say, this is kind of a weird situation.
Now, the old school Neanderthal types like Albert over here want to see a response from the Jays, regardless of what really happened, right?
That's not true.
Okay, that's what I'm kind of hoping for, actually.
Okay, yeah.
They expect a response from the Jays, whatever that looks like. Do you really expect to see that in this day and age? Listen, there's one series now, then it's September, the next series between these two teams, right? So it's not as if they're building this rivalry like you would normally see in a less balanced schedule.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if we see something tonight. And I'll point out, I was looking into this earlier, Aaron Judge has great career numbers off Kevin Gausman too. So look, if he gets into one again tonight, I'm sure people are going to be going crazy. Commenters, Twitter, within the game, everything's going to go on. Aaron Judge batting .333 with 3 home runs off Kevin Gausman in his career. But it wouldn't surprise me if, we get a little check there, or maybe, a little, pitch him up and in, something like that. Look, I've seen the Yankees do it with Tampa Bay the past couple of years. It's gone on and on. Like Aroldis Chapman at the time, hitting, players left and right. I'm not saying that the Blue Jays should do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see something like that tonight.
Okay, so enough about Aaron Judge and what's going on over there. Let's talk about Alek Manoah, Frank. Not sure what's going on with this guy. I don't think the Jays actually know what's happening with him either. 4+ innings, a career high 7 walks, 5 earned runs. He's got a 5.4 ERA at the moment. I know we were talking off air, like, how do you make sense of what's going on? And you really don't have an answer, maybe accept the numbers, but can you help us kind of guide us to, I mean, maybe a point where we can understand what's happening here?
The control has been a disaster. And you pointed out 7 walks, a career high last night against the Yankees, 4+ walks in 6 of 9 starts this year. This is not really something that we've seen Alek Manoah struggle with so far in his major league career. The ERA is up to 5.4. The whip is 1.8. He has almost as many walks as strikeouts on the season, 32 walks to 35 strikeouts. No pitcher is going to succeed being as wild as that. And just other things that I've noticed that stand out this year is the four-seam fastball velocity is down 1 mile per hour compared to last season. The slider has nothing right now. The whiff rate is down on that pitch. The batting average against on his slider, 368. Last year, 190. So no bite on that slider. I was watching the Yankees and Blue Jays broadcast yesterday, and they were talking about how he's just not finishing his pitches. And some kind of speculation that I've seen here is that the pitch clock this year and Alek Manoah, given his, conditioning, is, maybe he's someone that has taken longer to pitch. He was one of the slowest pitchers in baseball last year as well, before we had the pitch clock. So I think all of these kind of things adding up, the control not being there when he has to get back into the zone, hitters are ready to pounce and they're hitting the ball really hard. The BABIP, batting average, home runs, everything is up, and the swinging strikes are down. And all of those things come together, and you see this kind of disaster season we've seen so far from Alek Manoah. If it makes you feel better, pitchers can come around very quickly. The slightest tweak or adjustment, guys can get back on track. Look at what Jack Flaherty did for the Cardinals last night. 7 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts for him. And leading up to that start, he was dreadful. An ERA over 5, a whip approaching 2. So guys could get back on track really quickly in this game. It's just we have to see something, and we haven't seen that yet from Alek Manoah.
Frank, to your knowledge, do you know of any other top tier pitchers in the game right now who have had a significant drop off like Manoah, and because of, maybe because of the pitch clock?
I don't know that there's one or two pitchers just in particular, but if you just look at pitching in general around baseball, the league-wide ERA, league-wide whip is up this season, and it's a conjunction of all these new rules coming together. It's the pitch clock, but also the shift restrictions. So now balls that are in play are more likely to turn into hits. And specifically for a right-handed batter who, entering the season, Alek Manoah was not an elite strikeout pitcher. He was someone who pitched a little bit more to contact, and he did a great job inducing soft contact. But for pitchers who don't get as many strikeouts, they are more prone to these blow-up starts now because things could just get out of hand. It's one hit after another. It's, the shift restrictions and the pitch clock and all these things kind of adding up. And I think this is what baseball wanted. They wanted more action. They wanted more hits. They wanted more scoring in baseball. That's exactly what they've got. But as a result, we've seen even the best pitchers in baseball. It's, Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole got rocked recently by Tampa Bay, and it just, the list goes on and on. So I don't know that there's just one or two specifically, but the numbers on pitching in baseball in general have been way up this season.
But still, I mean, there's patience with him because of his name, Manoah, right? If his name's Kikuchi or Barrios right now, the fan base is losing its you-know-what at the moment. These numbers just aren't good enough, are they? It's as simple as that. Do you think there's an element of him overthinking things right now? You see him after every inning go to the dugout. He's got his head stuck in the iPad, rather than just like breathing and going with the process. Do you think nowadays, with all that the numbers and tools afforded these pitchers, they do sometimes overthink things?
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. It's just, look, I do it too. I play fantasy baseball. I have like 10 plus teams, and I'm over here trying to dissect the numbers, and I'm overthinking things as well. So, I mean, they have access to the same numbers that I do, probably even more numbers if we're being honest. But yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. If I think he's just searching for it right now. Again, that slider was so dominant for him last season. And the fact that, it's getting hit and he's not getting the same level of whiffs on it, and the velocity is down a little bit. And again, all those things in conjunction with the new rules, I think he's probably stuck in his own head right now, and he's fighting through it, and he's trying to figure it out and not finishing his pitches, and he's not throwing strikes. That's what it all comes down to. Again, it's, look, throw your stuff in the zone, trust your defense. I'd rather him get hit hard rather than just trying to nibble around the edges. And next thing you know, he has 7 walks in the start. So I would say get back to attacking hitters, throwing strikes, and hopefully good things come from there.
Hey, Frank, one last thing on Manoah. So Alejandro Kirk's been his guy throughout his career. This season, he's caught him 20 times. People have suggested that maybe John Schneider should go to Casey Janssen behind the plate instead of Kirk. with Manoah. Do you believe that adjustment can help Manoah?
Funny you bring that up because I was actually reading an article about Alek Manoah yesterday, and they pointed out that same thing. Alejandro Kirk has caught all of his starts, and apparently the framing metrics for Alejandro Kirk are way down this season. Not just offensively. We could talk about that another day with Kirk. But I'm looking at his StatCast page now, and his framing is 50th percentile, so it's right around league average. But there are other metrics that show that Manoah has actually been a below average defensive catcher this year in terms of framing and, stealing those strikes around the edges. And, maybe that's something that really has helped Alek Manoah in the past. So, yeah, look, give it a try. It's probably just a comfort thing where, those guys have worked together so much. It's maybe they don't want to change it, but it hasn't worked. So maybe it is worth looking into and trying out Danny Jansen and seeing if maybe that's something that can get Manoah back on track.
Yeah, also shout out former Jays pitcher Casey Jansen. He's not going to be behind the plate for Alek Manoah anytime soon.
You never know.
Frank, you're fantastic as always. Thank you so much. Let's do it again soon.
Thanks, man.